So I'm not going to perform a circus trick, okay? Before we start, I just want to make that clear. That's in my past. Picture this, an estate in Austria called Villa Bora, rumored to be haunted by a magician. It once housed elephants from a defunct circus, and later was donated to circus art. This was the backdrop for a week-long fire festival that I photographed. Each night, the artists lit up staffs, torches, and ropes and cut fire through the darkness. Fire breathers unleashed massive balls of fire into the air. And the reaction from the audience was always the same: audible gasps, outcries, and exclamations of awe. In Germany, I photographed the Flick Flack Circus, a show so badass it felt like being in a nightclub. The circus performers wore street clothes, and the music took control of your heartbeat. The light show alone was worth the ticket, but then came the performances, each one more adrenaline-filled than the last. It was an unforgettable and visceral experience. In Brazil, I didn't just observe the circus, I lived it. I was immersed in the lives of circus performers. I joined practices and classes, and I captured every part of their lifestyle through my camera. But my journey into the circus didn't begin here. Before Austria, Germany, or Brazil, there was a childhood fascination for the circus. Every summer, the Big Apple Circus would set up its tent at the end of my neighborhood. And from setup to teardown, I was enthralled. I would imagine myself performing these impossible feats, bringing joy to the audience. Like so many, I dreamed of running away to join the circus. Circus art engages all the senses. From the first moment you sight the tent, your anticipation builds. The aroma of cotton candy, popcorn, and lemonade fill the air, and as you hand over your ticket, you cross the threshold into a magical experience. Inside the tent, the energy in the air is palpable, and the seating around the ring creates an intimate atmosphere. The lights dim, the music starts, and the show begins. Sometimes it kicks off with an action-packed, heart-stopping opener. Other times, it's a quiet and funny moment that draws you in. But either way, from that first act on, you are transfixed. Each daring stunt, each elegant piece of choreography, each perfectly timed apex draws you in deeper. The energy and adrenaline courses through your body, and the nervousness builds as if you were the one about to perform the trick. And in a sea of strangers, you become part of a collective, a community bound by shared laughter, applause, exhilaration, and awe. Now, I was that kid who dragged the couch cushions into the backyard to teach myself gymnastics. I would flip off of every diving board and cliff and jump off of just about anything. So when a friend handed me a brochure for his uncle's trampoline camp, I shouldn't have been surprised when my parents said yes. The camp was a playground of trampolines, airbags, and apparatus, all meant to develop freestyle skiing skills. And before I knew it, I was a freestyle skier, careening down mogul fields, launching off jumps to flip and spin 60 feet in the air. I even did the historic sport of acro, or ski ballet, a form of dancing on skis with axles and pole flips, all choreographed to music. And by the time I was in high school, I had earned a spot on the U.S. freestyle ski team, and I competed nationally and internationally. I had my sights set on the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, Utah. But despite my passion for skiing, my desire to go to the Olympics, the circus still lingered at the back of my mind. And then as I finished up my second year of college and my fourth year on the U.S. Freestyle ski team, the circus came calling, literally. They had a freestyle skiing act. Now, this was the one and only circus skill that I possessed. I got the call from Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus, asking me to perform in the Max Air Blizzard Battalion, a troupe of freestyle skiing aerialists. And without a second thought, I abandoned my Olympic dream. And I set out on this new adventure. I hopped on a plane to Kentucky to meet the mile-long circus train. The jump setup was surreal. It was a condensed version of my normal training venue. I started from a platform in the rafters, and the in-run was just wide enough to fit my skis, creating the optical illusion that I was even taller and more daring. The jump was steep, and the landing was on a wedge-shaped airbag. All the surfaces were covered in turf and sprayed with soap and water. My first jump was in front of the entire cast before an all-staff meeting. And yes, I was afraid to take that first jump. It all happened so fast. I was airborne before I knew it. It was like the rug was pulled out from underneath me, and I landed a giant moondrop onto the airbag, onto my butt. By the second jump, I was ready. And that very night, I was issued a one-piece, neon sparkling ski suit. I was instructed on how to put on show makeup, and I became a circus performer. We were the action-packed opening act. Strobe lights and black lights hit the ramp, and I came flying down, launching a giant backflip through the air, landing on the airbag, and waving to the crowd. The second jump was a rapid-fire sequence where all 5 jumpers went one after the other. The jump lit on fire, and the last guy in the line had jetpacks strapped to his boots. It was epic. For 2 summers and a winter, I performed in nearly 200 shows in 28 major cities. Traditionally, when people picture the circus, they think of clowns, they think of elephants, and they think of trapeze. But circus is much more than just entertainment. It's a physical art that showcases feats of strength and acrobatic prowess. It pushes the limits of the human body. It encompasses all forms of creative expression, including storytelling, visual arts, and music, all meant to capture the imagination and transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. And from street performances and tent shows to large-scale productions like Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, and Cirque du Soleil, the circus inspires wonder. My whole experience, living on the train, traveling, performing, and meeting circus performers from diverse cultures, it was incredible. I met both performers from famous generational circuses, as well as athletes like me who had found an unexpected path into the circus. But despite our backgrounds, we had a shared understanding and respect, especially among fellow athletes. The thing I loved the most was the sense of community. Everyone was so welcoming and eager to share their cultures, traditions, and stories, and of course, food. And I found myself in this unique position. I had full backstage access to the life of a circus performer. I was living it, and yet all from this outside perspective. See, freestyle skiing was so far outside of the bounds of traditional circus. We were always called the skiers, never the performers, and we had our own ski culture that in many ways existed parallel to the circus world. And furthermore, I was studying photography at school, and through my camera, I observed, digested, and documented every aspect of the circus lifestyle. When my time as a performer came to an end, I had this incredible collection of photos and experiences, and they inspired a new project called Circuses and Stunts: Photography of Entertainment in Motion. It was funded by a Thomas J. Watson Fellowship, and for 1 year, I traveled across Europe, Russia, and Brazil, photographing all kinds of circuses. I captured everything from small family tent shows and street performances, to circus schools and festivals, to more modern and experimental circuses that combined dance and theater. I became captivated by that split-second moment where the trick reached its apex, the light hit just right, and the movement and choreography all came together. And it was in that moment where all the senses are engaged that I was able to use my own art to capture these powerful images. But the more time I spent with the circus, the more I became interested in what happened behind the scenes. I documented their downtime, their playtime, and the reality of life on the road. And it was in these less than perfect, unchoreographed moments, when the mask of performance was removed, that I found a deeper story, a humanity of being a circus performer. I found that every tree, playground, or rock could become an impromptu stage. And every performer was ready to put on a show for the camera, even when the spotlight was off. But I also witnessed their struggles to make a living and saw how they took care of one another. There was one striking experience when I visited the Gran Fele Circus in Valencia, Spain. It was everything I dreamed the project would be. They invited me into their training facility, introduced me to performers and performances in the area, and they even took me to a show in Madrid to photograph. And after working with and joking around with a group of young performers, I ran into one girl in the street. We exchanged warm hellos, and then she surprised me by begging for money. In this moment, the dynamics of our relationship shifted drastically. I understood the hardships that these performers go through. It gave weight to the time spent in training, but also to the images that I captured. It reminded me of my role as an outside observer, but also as a storyteller. Another unforgettable experience was in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. This performer asked me to accompany him to one of the most dangerous parts of downtown Rio. He guaranteed me that my camera would get stolen if he didn't set up protection. But I went, and I watched as he wrangled the crowd, and I saw the hardest faces soften into smiles and laughter. And I remember the reason I went and risked it is that he said they need the joy and entertainment, and it needs to be seen. Now, for 18 years, I had the privilege of coaching my form of circus art, freestyle skiing, to the next generation. I guided young athletes as they learned dangerous maneuvers in safe and controlled environments. And in the process, they learned more than just how to perform a cool trick. They learned how to try, how to give something their all, even when the outcome was uncertain. They learned how to succeed, and just as importantly, how to fail and pick themselves back up again. The training that goes into circus art, and by extension freestyle skiing, instills life lessons of hard work, perseverance, and the importance of creative expression. Circus art is more than entertainment. It's a powerful force that brings people together and transcends cultural and generational boundaries. And in an age when awe is common and at our fingertips, circus art creates lasting impressions and a sense of community and connection. For 20 years, I've held on to this story, waiting for the right moment. And now, as I raise 2 daughters of my own, it's more important than ever to share the values and the experiences that shape me through my time with the circus. And I encourage you to embrace the world around you, to create real, lasting memories, and to be open to those shared moments of awe. And when the circus calls, don't be afraid to jump. Say yes.